In this video, I'll show you how to group all of your systematic theologies into a collection. Then I'll show you how to search this collection to compare definitions of the doctrine of inspiration. When studying a doctrine like inspiration, you're bound to run into several different views on the subject. With Logos, we can create a collection of your systematic theologies so that you can read and compare different definitions of this doctrine, helping you come to your own conclusions. First, we need to create a collection that houses all of the systematic theologies in our library. To do this, go to the Tools menu and choose to open Collections. When the tool opens, start by giving this collection a name that you'll remember, like Systematic Theologies. Then, to add resources to this collection, jump down to the rule box where we can add a rule for finding matching resources. Because we're looking for systematic theologies, let's start with the keyword title, followed by a colon, then the phrase systematic theology, enclosed in quotation marks. With this rule, Logos combs through my library and finds resources with systematic theology in the title, like the works of Berkhoff, Strong, and Hodge. But certainly there are more systematic theologies in Logos. So let's expand our rule a bit by adding the operator or, followed by subject, colon, theology, doctrinal. If you're interested in how I discovered this rule, open the library in a new panel and input Institutes. Then scroll down and notice that Calvin's Institutes are tagged with the subject data, theology, doctrinal, which you can see under the subject column header. Now, back in our collections panel, notice that with this rule, Logos has added all of my systematic theologies and then some. If there are works in the list that you don't want in this collection, you can remove them by dragging and dropping the resource title into the space above, labeled minus these resources. Once you've added the resources you want and removed the ones you don't want, it's time to search this collection. First, open a new search panel and choose to run a basic search. Then, limit your resources to search to only include the new collection of systematic theologies. Because I'm searching for definitions for inspiration, I'll begin by looking for occurrences of inspiration near definition. This search combs through my collection and looks for places where these two terms occur in close proximity. The only problem with this search is that not every author uses the term definition before explaining the doctrine of inspiration. Some theologians just tell you what their view is with very little introduction. So let's expand our search a bit by adding a second search term. Input the operator or, followed by the phrase inspiration is in quotation marks. Then enclose the first search term with parentheses. When I run the search, Logos turns up some helpful results. Notice that on my screen, I'm viewing my results by resource, which is the best way to quickly locate any author's definition of this doctrine. When I expand hits from Erickson's Christian Theology, I can jump down to the section that lists and explains popular views of biblical inspiration. This list contains explanations of the intuition theory, the illumination theory, the dynamic theory, the verbal theory, and the dictation theory. To dig deeper into one of these views, like the dynamic theory, you can click on footnote 4 under his explanation of the theory. Or go back to your search results and scroll down to the hits from Strong's Systematic Theology. Then click to open the section titled Definition of Inspiration. Here, the author states, inspiration is that influence of the Spirit of God upon the minds of the Scripture writers, which made their writings the record of a progressive, divine revelation, sufficient when taken together and interpreted by the same Spirit who inspired them, to lead every honest inquirer to Christ and salvation. Strong's definition leans heavily upon texts like 2 Timothy 3:16. If you want, you can open an inline search, enter the reference, and discover everything this author has to say on this key verse. So with Logos, we can create a collection of all of our systematic theologies, then search this collection to compare different views on a particular aspect of theology. To get started using systematic theologies in Logos, click Get Logos 6.